So a couple things I want to talk about today. I've actually had a mom request that I discuss dyslexia and ADHD and some anxiety issues. So we're going to talk about that. Most of us have at least one child who has dyslexia, some anxiety, some ADHD. A child in high school with dyslexia, ADHD is a totally different animal than a child who's 5 with these things. And what you'll find is most 5-year-olds actually have dyslexia and ADHD, especially if they're boys. So it's actually an age thing. Not always. It is often, like my oldest son, he's my 3rd child. He's 18 and he still deals with some dyslexia, some ADHD. But I found that most of my children around the ages of 5 have it and they grow out of it. So not all of them grow out of it. Some of it keep it a little bit. So for a 5-year-old, you want to get this book. I swear I should get a commission off this book. I'll even share my screen here so you can see where I'm getting at. My Homeschool Village, we actually have a lot of great tools for this, and I'll show them to you in a minute. The reason I hesitate is because the tools we have at 5 is still a little young. So let me show you a couple things. The number one thing I recommend for every person who has dyslexia, who has a family member with dyslexia and ADHD, is you need to read The Dyslexic Advantage. This changed our lives. I went from having my 2nd child with dyslexia and ADHD and absolute panic mode when she's 8 and still not reading, and thinking that she had all kinds of issues. Now, the world will tell you there's all kinds of problems that they must have. After you read this book, and let me put the link in here. After you read this book, you will actually stop seeing your child's ADHD and dyslexia is a bad thing, and you will actually start to see it as a superpower. And this is vital because this book will actually go in and explain to you how people with dyslexia think. It's not like the rest of the world. It's not like the public school. This public school system, it'll even explain all this, how the public school system is set up for a different type of child and how so many, probably half the world is actually dyslexic, and how to work with it. And it goes in and I read it out loud to my 8-year-old, and she went from feeling like she was stupid to going, holy cow, I'm dyslexic. And she was proud of it. And it showed, she started to look at things differently, and we started to change the way we helped her. And she's been educated differently. She's 20 years old now and went from dyslexic, I can't read and I don't want to write, to her favorite thing right now is reading and writing books. Like, she's writing chapter books on her own with stories because we stopped attacking the problem and started seeing it in the way this book helps. So number one, if you're dyslexic, your mom's dyslexic, your brother's dyslexic, they need this book too. You can get it on Audible. I haven't read this one, Dyslexia Outside the Box. Might be interesting. This one, I swear by. I learned it from another mom who was homeschooling at a homeschool conference, and she gave it to me, and I just tore through it. And this, I can't even tell you. It's like the whole world needs to read this book. So yes, at 5, all children, especially boys, have ADHD. He shouldn't really be able to focus on anything more than at a 10-minute. And what happens is, as he gets older, every 6 months or so, he'll be able to increase that focus time, and his letters will start to make more sense. Now, a couple of the tricks with the dyslexia. I learned this from my daughter's violin teacher. She was taking violin classes, and she just kept saying, the notes are moving. I can't tell what line they're on. The notes are moving. And the violin teacher, she goes, oh, you're dyslexic. Hold on. So she had me take the music book, take it to a print shop or a UPS or whatever. I went and took each lesson. We took the whole book. We made the pages bigger so the notes were this big instead of this big. And then we printed everything on like a blue or a purple paper or a pink, whatever color worked for her. Once it wasn't white and black and the notes were bigger, they stopped moving for her and she was able to read the notes. So we've discovered this is quite normal with dyslexia, and it'll even tell you in the book. So one of the things we had to do was teach them to read, not in a regular book with white background and tiny pages, but this is when an iPad comes in handy. You can change the background color, use Kindle and get books digitally, and you can change the fonts, you can change the color background.
There is a specific font for dyslexic people.
She just walked up. Come here. Let me read this. Here you go. This is my used to be dyslexic child. Go ahead.
Oh, I still am. I told somebody in my mission I was dyslexic, and they were like, okay, can you read this? And they showed me something, and I didn't think I had a pain of reading before. I didn't think it would hurt to read. And then they showed me the font, and it was so much easier to read. Like, it didn't hurt anymore, and it made sense. I was like, whoa.
What font is it?
It's like for dyslexic people.
What's it called?
Dyslexia. Literally.
Dyslexia font.
They had like one of those digital books, and they just looked up dyslexia font. And then I read it, and every time I read this, it hurt. But I guess for you guys, it doesn't hurt.
Is it curvy letters?
Yeah, it's slightly slanted, and it's like slightly off than the normal font.
So which, I'm Googling here.
Go to fonts for dyslexic people. What dyslexia is though. Like,
so let me show you what we're doing real quick so you guys can see what we're Googling. What is dyslexia? Causes, symptoms, diagnosis, treatment. I highly recommend you read the Dyslexic Advantage before you do any more research, because it helps you see it so differently that your research will be different. See, causes, symptoms, signs, diagnoses, treatment.
It's not perfect writing, and that's why it makes sense. I think that's why people with dyslexia also write differently.
There you go. This, so interesting.
That one.
This one?
There's different kinds. It's not blocky.
Oh, interesting.
Like that.
Chrome extension, get dyslexia font. Let's see what happens. You got to pay for it, of course. Your Kindles and your iPads and your whatever you're using should have a dyslexia font on it now. That's a big enough issue now that most companies will carry them now. I'm kind of thinking maybe I should change my entire website to dyslexia fonts. I'm kidding.
It just eases your mind. It's so interesting. So, anyway, those are my 2 cents. Bye, guys.
I want to show you something else here. Give me a second. Your 5-year-old can do this. And I say this carefully because he's still a little young, but I want you to see what's in here, okay? Inside My Homeschool Village, we have Type C. Typec.com. If you don't currently have a Type C, you should. Let me share my screen. Type C for 5 is still a little young, but they can do it, okay? It's not just for learning how to type. I do find that my children who struggle with handwriting do really well with typing, but generally I recommend you don't do Type C until they're handwriting, but you can do both. So let's go to Type C, little ones. So it's K through 2nd. And as you can see, you get access to every level. So moms, you can come in here too. Continue. So when you come into one of these, so there's going to be a little program in here, okay? And they're going to go in. Okay, so you want to come here. This little pot, every lesson has them. You come in here, and this is where you change the settings. Now, it can read to your child for you out loud. You can have it, you can change whether or not you want it to talk to you. You can change your text size here. You can change whether or not you want more spacing. You change your fonts. You change the colored background here. You can change your formatting. Here you can change if you want them to focus on nouns. Nope. Nouns are going to be pink. Nope. Verbs are going to be red. You can even change the color you want them to be. And then you can come in here and you can say, I just want 1 line at a time. I want multiple lines at a time. You can put in here, by the way, even what language you want. So if you're teaching multiple languages to your children, or if you just want English, you go here and you can have them do like they're handwriting in English, but they're typing in Spanish. So just some opportunities here for language development. This is all dyslexia like settings. So if you go in here, something for you for the future, look, there's all kinds of courses for all age levels. I'm going to go into, so you can do Common Core or not Common Core. Text is not Common Core. As they're learning to type, you can pick subjects for them that you want them to be learning. Look at this, the characteristics of life, thinking about science, questioning science every day. You could do science, energy, magnetism. So they're actually learning a topic while they're learning to type, and it can even read out loud to them. You pick the grade that they're in, let them learn to type on this while they're learning really cool things as they type. It's like combo programs here. You don't have to do science, then typing. No, science and typing go together. There's history lessons in here. There's government in here. There's some very cool things in here. Make sure that you are using Type-C. You guys, I actually recommend that if you have a high school kid or even like 7th grade and up, Type-C should actually be one of your main places for education. Type-C and study.com covers all their tech. It covers, if you can see in here, it has coding. It teaches the operating systems. It will teach Windows, how to start with Windows. It teaches Mac, dual operating systems. It teaches some very cool things. Your child will be completely tech savvy if they use Type-C and learn all the tech skills in here, and they're always adding new ones, okay? You'll find that a child who gets really frustrated with the hand drawing might do better on the typing. However, remember, their hands are still small and may not be able to reach all the letters. So you can get, did you know that you can actually get children's keyboards that make it easier for little hands? I know that those exist out there because we've done that. They also make keyboards for that are more color friendly. They're more, anyway, so if you really want to go there. So a lot of boys actually struggle with reading, writing until they're like 8, and that's totally normal. Don't let people like panic you because of that.